Back in the fall of 2021, I was driving Uber in Northern California. I had just moved there after a messy breakup, crashing at my cousin's place outside Sacramento, trying to save money, stay quiet, and not fall apart. Driving at night helped me clear my head, or at least stop thinking so much. That Thursday night around 10:45 p.m., I got a ping. Pickup, 12 minutes outside of town. Weird thing? The address didn't fully show up, just a pin, right at the edge of a forest preserve. I hesitated, but the pay, surge bonus, looked worth it, so I accepted. The route took me past farms, ranches, then the road turned to gravel. No lights, no signs, just trees, tall, silent, leaning over the road like they were watching. I reached the pin. No house, no car, no one, just forest. I left my headlights on and waited. 2 minutes passed, I was about to cancel. Then something moved. A woman stepped out from between the trees. She looked like she was in her mid-30s. Long dark hair, white blouse, jeans. She didn't look scared or drunk, just distant, still. Too still. She opened the front passenger door, not the back, and slid in without a word. "Hey, are you Claire?" She nodded, no smile, no hello, just nodded. The drop-off was 25 minutes away, a residential area I'd never heard of. She nodded again when I asked if it was right. For the first few minutes, she said nothing, just sat there, breathing slow and steady, like she was meditating. I tried to break the silence, said something like, "Crazy spot to get picked up from." She replied softly,
"I just needed to get out."
"Yeah, I get that. Nature's good for the soul." She didn't laugh, didn't even look at me. I gave up trying. About 15 minutes in, suddenly she leaned forward and asked,
"Do you believe in second chances?"
I glanced at her. "You mean, like, in life?" She didn't answer. She just stared, calm, empty, quiet, then leaned back again and stared out the window. Something about her made my skin crawl, but I kept driving. We reached the destination, a cul-de-sac, 4 houses. Hers was the last one on the left, but it didn't look lived in. The yard was overgrown, windows broken, no lights, no signs of life. I checked the app, it was the right address. "You sure this is it?" I asked. She nodded, then said, "I used to live here." She got out of the car and walked up the driveway. At the porch, she stopped, turned around, and waved at me. But it wasn't a thank you wave. It was slow, robotic, like she was imitating what a person would do. Then the front door opened by itself, and she stepped inside. I ended the trip and drove away, fast. Now here's the part that's haunted me ever since. A week later, I was at a coffee shop when I overheard 2 old guys talking. They were talking about a house that burned down a few years ago. A woman named Claire had lived there. She lost her husband and daughter in a fire, and later took her own life, in the woods behind the house. I interrupted. "Do you know where that house was?" They gave me the address. It was the same one. I checked my trip log, still had it. Completed ride, same location. But the rider info, gone. No name, no photo, no record of Claire, just blank. I told myself it was a glitch or a sick prank. But now, every time I get a ride request near those woods, I ignore it. Because I know what I saw and I know what I felt. That night, I drove a ghost home. I started driving Uber part-time in early 2022. I was living in Denver, trying to save up while finishing grad school. Nights were my thing. Less traffic, fewer kids, and I liked the peace of it. But one night, peace was the last thing I got. It was a Tuesday, just past midnight. I had finished 3 back-to-back rides downtown and was about to log off when I got one last ping. The pickup was only 5 minutes away. A residential neighborhood near an older part of the city. The name on the app was Thomas. I pulled up outside a brick duplex. The street was quiet, no lights on in the house, but a man was already standing outside, right under a flickering porch light. He was maybe mid-40s, clean-shaven, wearing a dark trench coat. way too formal for someone in the suburbs at midnight. He got in the back, sat directly behind me, and said, calmly, "To the address in the app, please." His voice was calm, crisp, almost too crisp. I confirmed it, a location about 30 minutes north near a business park on the edge of the city. I started driving. At first, I didn't think much of him. Some people just don't talk during rides. I respected that. But around the 10-minute mark, I noticed something weird in the mirror. He wasn't looking at his phone. He wasn't staring out the window. He was just looking forward, staring directly at the back of my head, unblinking. I tried to shake it off, told myself maybe he was just zoning out. Then he suddenly asked, flatly, "Have you ever driven someone who didn't want to be dropped off?" The question hit weird. I, nervous chuckle, laughed awkwardly and said, Not yet, but the night's still young." He didn't laugh, didn't smile. I waited for a follow-up, but that was it. He went silent again. Then, 5 minutes later, out of nowhere, he said, warningly, "I don't think you should go all the way there." I looked in the mirror, concerned. "What do you mean?" He replied, gravely, "Things happen to people who go to that address. You won't come back the same." At this point, I thought maybe he was messing with me. I nervously, half joked, "What is this, like a haunted warehouse or something?" He didn't respond, just stared. Then, in the dim light from the dashboard, I noticed something that chilled me. He wasn't buckled, not unusual in the back seat, but around his neck was something silver. At a red light, I glanced again. It was a key, hanging from a chain. A really old, tarnished-looking key, like one of those antique house keys you see in horror movies. I didn't want to ask about it. My gut told me not to. We kept driving. Just a few minutes from the destination, I noticed something else. There were no buildings where the pin dropped, just open space and what looked like a partially demolished factory or warehouse. I slowed down. The place looked abandoned. Roof caved in, graffiti everywhere, fences broken. The pin said to turn in through a gravel lot. "Are you sure this is it?" I asked. Thomas leaned forward and just keep the car running. I won't be long. He got out and walked toward the building. The key swung slightly as he moved. Then something absolutely unexplainable happened. I watched him walk about 15 feet from the car and vanish. I don't mean he walked behind a wall. I mean, he was there, and then he wasn't, like he flickered out of existence. I blinked, rubbed my eyes, turned on my high beams. Nothing, just the wind blowing some trash across the lot. I waited 2 minutes, then 5, then 10. I texted the number linked to the Uber account, no reply. I finally marked the ride as complete. The app said trip ended successfully. But here's the thing. The name wasn't Thomas anymore. It was blank, no rider name, no profile picture, just a timestamp and a location, like the system had wiped the passenger from my records. I was creeped out, but I needed closure, so I Googled the address. Turns out, that abandoned warehouse, it used to be a mental hospital, closed down in 1993 after a fire broke out during a night shift. 3 patients and a nurse were never found. One of them was a man named Thomas R. Caldwell, former banker. Institutionalized in 1988, known for claiming he had the key to death's door, and he always wore it around his neck. I don't pick up rides from that side of town anymore, and when someone gets in my back seat wearing a trench coat, I make damn sure they don't have a key around their neck. Back in late 2021, I moved to Portland for work. I was new in town, didn't know anyone, and had a lot of free time at night. So I signed up to drive Uber. Weeknights were chill, nothing too exciting, until one night in December. It was snowing lightly, that kind of quiet snowfall that makes everything feel eerily still. I was about to head home when I got a ping around 11:45 p.m. The pickup was in Forest Park, a wooded area on the west side of the city. Kinda isolated, but nothing too sketchy. The rider's name was Annabelle. I followed the GPS. The road curved into a narrow, tree-lined street with hardly any houses nearby, just deep woods and fog. The only thing around was a tiny gravel pull-off beside a metal gate. That's where the pin dropped. There was a girl standing there. She looked about 20 or so, wearing a long black coat, black boots, and no hat, despite the snow. Her hair was long, wet, and dark. She didn't wave, just opened the back door and slid in without a word. I greeted her, questioning, "Annabelle?" She nodded. Her voice was softly. "Can we take the long way, please?" I checked the destination. It was to the eastern edge of the city, about 35 minutes by highway. Maybe she wanted to avoid tolls or traffic. "Sure," I said, thoughtful. "Do you want to go through downtown instead?" Long pause. She didn't answer. I shrugged and started driving. For the first 10 minutes, it was completely silent. No music, no conversation. The only sounds were the tires on slushy roads and the occasional creak of tree branches above us. Then I noticed something in the mirror. She was crying, silent tears, no sobbing, no wiping her face, just sitting there, head down, tears streaming down her cheeks. I asked gently, "Hey, are you okay?" Long pause. She didn't respond. I thought maybe she had a rough night, a breakup, maybe worse. I didn't want to pry, but then she whispered, "Do you believe in fate?" I said, thoughtful, "Sometimes. Why?" Still looking down, she said, softly, "Because I think this ride was supposed to happen." I tried to laugh it off. "Huckle. Well, I guess the algorithm matched us up." She didn't laugh. She just said, serious, "I've taken this ride before, but it ended differently." Now I was officially unsettled, nervously. "You mean, like deja vu?" She finally looked up. Her eyes were swollen red, and she said, flatly, "No, I mean I took this exact ride, years ago. Erie. Same time, same pickup spot, same driver." I laughed nervously. "Same driver? I'm new to Portland." She said softly, "You weren't new then." I didn't know what to say. The tension in the car started to grow thick. I could feel it in my chest, a kind of pressure, like something was closing in. Suddenly she asked, ominously, "Do you remember what you did last time?" I said, confused, "I think you're confusing me for someone else." She leaned forward. I could smell the wet snow in her coat. Accusingly, "You didn't take me home," she said, flatly. "You took a different turn." She pointed ahead. I looked. The road curved left. I was about to take the normal route, but for some reason, my hand turned the wheel right. I don't know why I did it. It felt like I wasn't in control for a moment. And then, the road changed. The snow got thicker, the streetlights disappeared, the trees grew taller and denser. We entered a road that wasn't on the map. I checked my GPS. Rerouting, then signal lost. I stopped the car. "What the hell is going on?" I asked. Annabelle leaned back into the seat and said, calmly, "You asked that last time too." Now my skin was crawling. I turned around in my seat. "Who are you?" She stared at me, dead calm. "I'm the passenger you never dropped off." My head started spinning. She continued, accusingly, "You ignored the signs. You kept driving when I asked to stop. You didn't listen. And by the time you did," flatly, "it was already too late." Suddenly the car shook, like something heavy hit the roof. I jumped, threw it into drive, and floored it. The trees blurred by. My headlights barely cut through the fog, but I kept going. I didn't care where, I just needed out. After what felt like 10 minutes, the road suddenly opened up again. Streetlights, houses, a familiar gas station. I pulled over, heart racing. I turned around and she was gone. Not in the back seat. No door had opened. No footprints in the snow. The seatbelt was still buckled, but the seat was empty. I checked my app. No record of the ride. No Annabelle. No route. No fare. It was as if it never happened. I sat there for 20 minutes trying to make sense of it. Eventually, I drove home. I couldn't sleep. The next day, I searched online. Forest Park, girl named Annabelle, Uber incident, and I found it. A post from 2017 on a local message board. Someone describing a missing college student, Annabelle Martin. Last seen getting into an Uber. Same pickup location. Same date, December 21st. She was never found. Now every year on the 21st, I log out early, and I never pick up from that side of Forest Park.